Today, I am talking about summer because here in the US, it's Memorial Weekend. Memorial Day is kind of a little bit of a marker of a summer, at least in my head, it is. And even though the weather today is not very summery, I always want to have my summer plans ready at least by Memorial Day. So today, I'm going to talk about what do we do? How do we write in summer? How do we edit in summer? Because one of the things that I've noticed for myself and for a lot of people is that summers tend to be this weird all or nothing. So you either are saying, okay, summer is free. I'm going to do everything. It's going to be a complete, I don't know, revamp of my manuscript. I'm going to finish writing everything. I'm going to edit everything. Or you're like, okay, summer is a mess. Kids are home, we're going on vacation. There's absolutely no time to write, and I'm just not going to write at all. And I really, really want to encourage people to approach summer differently and not to approach summer like you would approach February or May or whatever other um, months which are your more productive months, maybe. I think you need to look at the summer like a special little animal that it is. I'm going to have some pieces of advice for you today for summer, and let's hope that that's going to inspire you to rethink what your summer is going to look like this year. So, first of all, let me reintroduce myself for those who don't know me. Hi, I'm Gala Russ, and I am a creative writing teacher. I'm an author of 9 books under the pen name Willa Drew, and currently I'm writing an urban fantasy, which is exciting. Which is a big departure for me from my romance and women's fiction roots. And my urban fantasy is the goal for me to write and to finish and to start editing this summer. So, as we were talking about your plans, I'm going to talk about my plans, and hopefully, together, we come up with a really cool plan for you for the summer. I'm going to try to make this about the 30-minute live because I tend to talk too much. So I'm going to challenge myself to stick to the 30 minutes. So hopefully within this 30 minutes, you also get to plan your summer. And at the very beginning, the very first question that I want you to ask yourself is, what is the capacity for the summer? So if you look at this summer, do you already have things planned? Are there weeks that you're going to be gone? Are there weeks that you know you're going to have a lot less time? Are there weeks that you know you're going to have a lot more time? I recommend taking your calendar, and I like doing it actually either on a post-it, or I have my journals, and I just write out kind of the whole month for myself, and I highlight in green or red whatever is going on my calendar for the entire summer, so I can kind of visually see what's going on. For me, for example, in June, the second through last week of June, I will be teaching a class for 3 hours every day, which means probably 4 hours of my day is going to be gone because I have to get there, have to come back. I'm teaching teenagers Write Your Novel 101. And I also have family coming for a week in the middle of June. And then in July, I'm going to be away for a week on vacation visiting my in-laws. It doesn't mean that I cannot write during those times. We're going to discuss it, but those are kind of impediments. And then the second week of August, one of my kids goes back to school, and like mid-August, she starts her water polo season starts. So there's going to be games that I'm going to have to be in the car a lot. So a lot of my routine then of writing will probably have to shift to me writing in the car again, which is not new to me. It's just an adjustment. I'm not going to be in my office. That's sort of uh, what my summer interruptions that I know of right now look like. What are yours? Ask yourself that question, and either map it in your head or sit down. And sometimes it's nice just to have one post-it per month, and you basically write June and then what is happening then July, and I put them on my into my journal so that I can keep them. So they're gonna stay with me, and I can revisit them. So if I just keep them as a post-it on my desk, they're gonna fly away somewhere, and I'll never find them. So this is the first thing. What is realistically actually happening that you actually know? Because there are going to be stuff that will be happening that you don't know, and you're going to still have to accommodate for that. Then the other question I want you to ask yourself is there one thing that you genuinely would like to have accomplished in your writing by the end of summer? And I do my quarterly planning meetings. And if you are a paid subscriber or if you are a current or former client, it is free to join. And we are going to sit down in at the end of June to do the quarter 3 plan. But one of the things that I talk about there is pick 3 things maximum for your quarter. And the first thing is the most important. So here we're kind of thinking about the same thing. This is not a quarter, this is summer and doesn't quite fit into the quarterly, but the goal is the same. What is one thing specifically for your writing that you would like to accomplish between June, July, and August? My first most important thing is I want to finish the first draft. I'm about 30% in it, a little bit ahead, but about 30% in the first draft of my book. So my goal is I really, really want to finish it. That's number one. My number 2 goal is I want to reread it because that's going to take time. Rereading your first draft takes time. I want to reread it and take notes, take developmental notes for myself, like look at it from the developmental editor perspective. And I usually use a spreadsheet where I kind of write out each chapter or each scene, what is going on in there, and fill out that chapter scene spreadsheet. That's my number 2 goal. And then if I can, it would be cool if I can actually start applying the edits. I don't know if I will get there. I kind of doubt. I think that's like a stretch goal. If anything, if you've ever watched people do Kickstarters, like they have, oh, if we reach this stretch goal, if like this many more people subscribe, then I will add pretty illustrations and more of them. So I think that final starting editing is probably a stretch goal for me. So for you, what are those things? What is the one thing that you really, 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 really want to accomplish? And one of those things I want you to think about is um, be realistic. Like if you are just starting a novel and if you've never ever written one and you want to finish writing it in this summer and you don't really know what your pacing is and you've never done this program, it might be too much. So make your goal kind of be nice to yourself. I would almost say better to do less. Like it's better to have a goal that you for sure know you can accomplish or you're pretty certain you could accomplish as your big goal, or like slightly less than what you think you're going to accomplish, and then actually get there and kind of be happy and celebrate and say, yeah, I'm great, look at me, rather than you having a big goal and then you reach like 80% of the goal and then you at the end of the summer like, oh my god, I was so bad, I only reached 80% of my goal and I'm a like, I don't know, failure or whatever negative talk. I'm so great at negative self-talk. So I recommend slightly smaller goal and like make another goal be a secondary goal and a tertiary goal so that if you do get to those, great, but those are not an absolute what you want. So now that you have that, you know, what are the things that you already know are going to be interrupters in your summer. Second, what is the one primary thing you really, 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 really want to do before September? The next thing that I'm going to challenge you to do is everybody talks about goals maximum, my best rate, my this is like how far I want to stretch. I want to challenge you to have a goal minimum. And when I do challenges, that's what I tend to do for myself. I have a goal minimum for the day and goal maximum for the day. For right now in May, I kind of did the self-inflicted challenge and I'm going to continue it in June because it's been working well. And my goal maximum is to write a chapter a day. And there has not been that many days that I've written a chapter a day. There have been some days where I've written more than one chapter a day, but majority of my days I did not finish an entire chapter in a day. My goal minimum though is to write 20 minutes a day. And so far I've had 5 days out of where are we 25th. I haven't started writing today. So out of 24 days, I have not written for at least 20 minutes for 5 days, which I mean, again, I'm far, far away from 100% completion. But it also says that for 19 days this month, I have written at least 20 minutes a day. So find your goal minimum. And I give you some examples. Like, for example, mine right now is at least 20 minutes a day. You can have, I write 100 words a day or, 200. Find a word minimum, whatever works for you. One paragraph, I edit one paragraph. That's a goal. That's accomplishable. That's your minimum goal. And again, think about it. If you do it every day, and let's say there are 90 days in a 3 month span, that means that you're going to edit 90 paragraphs. And that's a lot of paragraphs. That's a lot of work overall, but it's tiny little thing by little thing. And even if you edit only 85 days and you edit only 85 paragraphs in the summer, like still 85 paragraphs is a lot, is a lot. Um, I do 20 minutes, you can do 10 minutes, you can do 5 minutes, whatever works for you. You can do write one scene or edit one scene. That's a much bigger chunk, right? A scene could be a little bit smaller than a chapter, a little bit bigger than a chapter. One of the other goals could be uh, but as I said, my goal number 2 is going to be rereading my story once I finish my first draft and do notes. So rereading a story that you have already finished a draft for could be a goal. And I think a lot of people forget about that one when they're finished with their first draft and get into the editing. They forget that there's going to be a time where you're going to have to sit down and reread your story with notes, and that's going to take time. And then brainstorming. Brainstorming and planning. That is a big thing. When I talk to students, they think in their minds that if I'm actively typing words on the page, whether this is writing or editing, that counts. But if I'm thinking about my story or brainstorming or plotting, somehow they do not fit it into their calendar. But that is equally important. And some days, that's what I spend more of my time on. I've had several days where I didn't write anything is because there was a day where I sit down and I sometimes spend like 2 hours on just figuring out, like I had a break into 2 point, and for some reason that chapter was giving me trouble, and I spent 2 hours that day trying to figure out what is the break into two, what's the moment, how it's going to be connected. And it was really, really good because it propelled my next 4 chapters. Like it gave me clarity, not only for that chapter that was the break into two, but for 3 more chapters afterwards. And then it was time well spent. But yeah, budget that. So your second goal for right now, think about it. And you don't have to make the decision right now. You can change your mind, and we're going to talk about it. But if you were to think about it right now, what could be a cool goal minimum for that one big thing that you want to accomplish this summer? And for me, at least until I'm done with draft 1, I'm going to keep my goal minimum to 20 minutes a day, write for 20 minutes a day. And my goal maximum is going to be still write a chapter a day. That's worked. I like it. I'm going to keep going with that. Okay, so next point is, and if you want to share yours, I would appreciate it. If you have answers to the questions that I'm asking, what is the one big goal that you want to accomplish by the end of the summer, and what is your goal minimum? Go ahead and type that in the comments. That would be lovely. I would really enjoy seeing what yours are. Okay, the next one. Step 3 is I call it build your writing routine for your life, because all of our lives are so different. And also they do change. They're not always the same throughout the entire summer. And your goals might change. Like I'm going to have a writing period and an editing period, and a reading period during my summer, and hopefully an editing period. Then they require slightly different things. This is one line sentence that I teach in all of my classes all the time. And I have no clue where I learned about it. Whoever taught this to me, thank you so much. That has saved me so much grief over my writing career. So I can't contribute it, but this is not my idea. This is somebody taught this to me. So the sentence is, I will, and then you insert a behavior, and I'll give you an example. At, and then you insert a time, and in, and you insert a location. I will, behavior, at, time, in, location. For example, I will I will revise one scene for 20 minutes at the kitchen table after coffee. or while drinking coffee. Or I will brainstorm in my notes app for 10 minutes before bed. Or I will dictate scenes for 30 minutes while walking the dog in the morning. Or I will reread pages every Saturday morning for 20 minutes on the patio. Having those specific things, and again, if you worked with me, I say the word specificity ad nauseum for so many different things, whether you're writing, even for goal setting. It is really important to be specific, not just to say, I'm going to write today. Even saying, I'm going to write for 20 minutes today is allowing your brain to kind of find wiggle ways like, oh, I'm not going to do it right now. I'm just going to do it later. And then it's 11 o'clock, 11:30, and you still haven't done it. So be specific. I will work on specific task for specific amount of time in a specific location. So that is kind of one of those things. Extra tip is if you have any existing routines that you can connect it to, that has been working wonders for me. It might not work for you, it might work for you. So, like some of the examples I give are if I go to a grocery store, I am in the habit now of for get 20 minutes for me because that just is a magic number for me. For 20 minutes before I get out of my car to go into the grocery store, I sit down and I either type on my phone or brainstorm the story on my phone or reread something on my phone. And I go to the grocery store at least once a week, sometimes more. And it doesn't feel like a lot of time, but it accumulates. Like that's like a magic extra 20 minutes that happen in my life. And because I do it every time before I go to the grocery store, it kind of is built in into my routine. The same thing I do sometimes, not for writing, but for my social media content. I usually make my coffee in the morning and then I try to sit down and drink my coffee. And I usually try to post one reel. When I do my coffee, I'll post one carousel post when I'm doing my coffee in the morning. So whatever routines you have, like if you have a walk a dog or if you take a exercise, go to the gym, how can you attach these kinds of behaviors to an existing thing? Because if you are already doing that thing, it's already part of your brain chemistry. This is just another thing you're attaching to an existing thing versus creating a brand new pattern. For my brain, it has worked wonders. So think about that. And I'm going to leave you before we get into the next point with this thought. In the first step, we put what are the things we already know in our summer that are going to be interruptions or that are going to take up time. There are going to be so many more things that are going to come. There are going to be so many more interruptions. We're trying to create this routine so that it can work with any interruption that comes your way. And this is kind of what the next point is about. I call it weekly reset. And when I started, I was like, oh my God, another thing that I have to do every week. And when am I going to do it? And it's so hard. Now I have a little routine, usually on Sunday mornings. And when on Sunday mornings, I have to go and do something else that is disrupting this routine. That's when I fail a lot more during the next week because it's a lot harder for me without the reset. But a weekly routine reset is for me, I set 15 minutes on the timer because I found that 15 minutes is enough. And now most of the time I'm done earlier, way earlier than 15 minutes. And what I do is I sit down and I usually, now the weather is nice on the patio, I make myself my coffee, I sit down on my patio. You can do whatever, you walk your dog, you just whatever works for you. And I think mentally, okay, so this week, what worked? This week, when did I actually write? What did I say? When I will write? When did I actually write? What worked? What didn't? And a lot of times, what I need to do is to make, if something is not working, I need to figure out, okay, I was certain at the beginning when I started this writing every 20 minutes minimum in May, one chapter that I'm going to be writing in the mornings because mornings is my best time. My brain works the best. What I have noticed over the month is that I am a lot more consistent writing in the evening. And I'm like, but why? But I'm the most tired in the evening. And it's so hard for me to start writing in the evening because I'm so tired. I just don't want to. And I realized that for my brain, my procrastinating ADHD brain, it's much easier to have a deadline. And what better deadline for you have to do something once a day than the end of that day? So I understood that, okay, for me, because I'm going to still sit down at 10:30 and I'm going to write for at least 20 minutes, because even at 10:30 writing for 20 minutes, it's doable. Even if I'm tired, it's doable. Most of the time, I end up writing for a lot more because that 20 minutes is plenty for me to kind of get back into my story. And I'm like, oh, I actually want to stay with it. And that has been a good and a bad thing. A good thing is that has kept me a lot more consistent. The bad thing that I have consistently gone to bed way later, and I now, yeah, I feel like I'm not doing so good on my sleep. So I'm trying to fix that problem. But that was the result of sitting down on a Sunday and with my coffee and thinking about it and saying, okay, you really, really want to write in the mornings, but you really are writing in the evening. So let's just do that. And then I also writing at my desk sometimes, but is usually one day a week. On Thursdays, I usually write at the library because I go teaching and I just don't have time in my day. So what I have done is I know that I start teaching at this time, so I get to the library an hour earlier. I am like, okay, on my schedule, I'm going to the library an hour earlier, and I get to the library an hour early, and I sit down, and that's the hour that I am writing the book for that day. And then when my student comes, excellent, I start teaching. And then the rest of the day, I'm like, okay, well, I have this already done. So it's kind of also that previous trick connected to an existing routine. I know every Thursday I teach, thus, this is working for me. So, what I want you to get from this is having that, most of the time it's going to be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, but having that little time scheduled on one day of the week. It does not have to be Sunday. You can be doing Monday resets, it can be Saturdays, Thursday resets. Nobody cares. It does not have to be a Sunday. And think about the questions. These are the questions I ask myself. You can change and do your thing. I ask myself, what actually worked this week? Because it's important to focus on what is working. When did writing feel easiest? And for me, it's been after the first 20 minutes in the evening before going to bed. What created resistance? Those first 20 minutes, just the sitting down and thinking about, okay, I have to do this task every single time. Like 99% of my days, I have this resistance. And I'm like, oh, I have to sit down and do it, but I am tired, but I am tired. It happens every time, and I have already proven to myself that even though that happens by writing my timer, setting my time for 20 minutes, most of the time I'm going to get into the mood and I'm going to be doing it. What was unrealistic for me, writing in the morning turned out to be unrealistic. For me, writing a whole chapter every day turned out to be unrealistic. Although there have been several days when I did that, even more than one chapter. And what needs to shrink? Is there something about your goal that you can make smaller and more achievable? Because if you look throughout the week and you're like, oh, I said I'm going to write a chapter, let's say you did not have a goal minimum. Well, let's say your goal minimum is write a chapter a day, and you consistently did not do it more days than not, you did not accomplish it. Then your next goal is going to be, how can I make that goal smaller? What can I do to this goal to make it so that most of the days I do achieve it? Because that's where you want to get to. You want to get to a place where at the end of the week, you're like, 6 out of 7 days or 5 out of 7 days, I did this. I did my goal. Great. Good job. If you did it 100%, 7 days out of 7 days, you rock. I have pretty much do not have that consistency. One other new thing that I've discovered after doing this for 3 weeks is that because I teach a lot on Thursdays is like a very heavy week. I teach like for 6 hours. I am not writing on Fridays. I need that Friday to be a chill day. My brain is fried. So I no longer am planning on writing on Fridays. If it works, great. But I'm saying, yeah, I'm going to be only writing 6 days a week. So it's 20 minutes a day, but not on Fridays. Fridays is my day off because I've been beating myself up for 3 Fridays now saying, oh my God, I haven't written a single Friday. And then I'm like, hold on, hold on there. This is a pattern. If you have not written a single Friday throughout this whole challenge in May, why haven't you done it? And it's because I'm tired. I am tired on Fridays. Uh, Teaching for so much takes a lot of my energy, and it's also the end of the week. It's also the end of all of like the kids' activities, and I just want to go to bed early. And as I said, a lot of times I end up writing late in the evening. And I just on Friday, I want to go to bed at 9 o'clock. I'm so tired. So that's what I'm doing. And it's totally fine. So what needs to shrink? For me, Fridays. Okay, where are we? We are at 10:24. Yes, if this was a little bit of a run through all of this, I apologize, but I covered everything that I wanted to cover basically. So I'm going to tell you the final thing. And the final thing in closing, I have my I've pre-printed all of my stuff so I can keep on track. So the final thing I want you to think about is that a lot of writers feel like this writing a story or editing a story is going to be like this one big inspiration. And he's like, boof, and it all appears and happens. But no, writing happens in the small increments, in small repeatable things. And if you can get yourself into those small repeatable things, that's great. Also, life changes. If this week this worked, next week, you're going to be on vacation, it doesn't mean like, okay, so I'm not going to write next week at all. It means like, okay, I will be on vacation next week. How about I write for 5 minutes every day instead of 20 minutes or an hour? You're gonna like you one of the things that why I recommend to touch something in your story, not every day, but almost every day, is because that keeps connection, that keeps your brain thinking, whether you're editing something or writing something or rereading something or have a planning session, it's gonna keep your brain involved. And one of the biggest things that happened to me when I kind of botched my summer, like I did last year a little bit, it was September came and I'm like, well, for me, it was August. August came and I'm like, ah, I don't really, I have to reread everything. I have to rethink everything. I have to, like, it took me so long to re enter my writing brain and my story. And I couldn't, like, it was hard. It was hard and it took a lot of time. And I really, really hope that by having this attitude this summer, come September, you're going to look back at your summer and you're going to be I accomplish a lot of things. B, I'm very much connected to my story. I know what's going on. I have this ongoing momentum. And also, I have an ability to write no matter what's going on in my life. And then in September, your life is changing again, and then you're going to adjust. And you can pretty much apply all of these principles. I apply them around Christmas and holiday seasons, or when I'm actually gone for a vacation. Do not make like that flexibility and experimentation really, really helps with consistency. And to practice my sales skills and to plug in what I'm doing this summer, in addition to doing this challenge for myself, I'm also teaching this summer and I'm teaching two courses. And one course, if you are interested in accountability and interested in maintaining momentum, the Write Your Novel Summer Edition is definitely a great course for that. It's going to go for 12 weeks in the summer. It's going to start on June 6th. It's going to be on Saturday mornings at 9 a.m. Pacific, which is noon for Eastern time people. It still is good for people who are in Europe. That's your evening. It still will work for you. And it's an hour class every day apart from July 4th, every day, every week apart from July 4th. And every week has a topic. So in June, on the 6th, we're going to do how to connect or reconnect to your story. On the 13th, character clarity. What do they want? It's a great exercise to come back to. 20th, what happens next? Finding your next scene, figuring out if you're stuck, how to get yourself back on track. 27th, writing scenes that move a story. Scene is a crucial building block of your story. If you master writing scenes, you have your building blocks set for yourself. In July 11th, we're going to talk about raising stakes without overcomplicating it, because especially in the first half of your book, you need to be raising stakes. And it doesn't mean that something very complex needs to happen. It's a very cool exercise for that. On the 18th, writing when you don't feel like it. We talked about it a little bit today, and we will have some other cool tips about that. The 25th, dialogue. There's so many things and aspects about writing dialogue that we can dive into. I don't have exactly which tip I'm going to be talking about, but it's only because I have too many and I have to pick one that is going to be more strategically useful for you guys. And in August, on the 1st, adding emotional depth. On the 8th, fixing what is not working in your story. And there is a good exercise about how to identify, how to figure it, because sometimes we just sit there and like something is not working. but I don't know exactly what, how to figure out and how to fix that. On the 15th, subplots and story threads. On the 22nd, momentum and the middle. The saggy middle is always a problem. And on the 29th, where you are at and what's next, because that's going to be the end of the summer. And I want to send you off into the fall season very well prepared and with a plan of what you're going to do next. You can see my project management background is showing. I love myself plans and goals. And why do I love them? It's because if I don't have a goal for the week, I know I will probably do a lot less. And if I have a goal for the week, even if I don't reach that goal, I most of the time end up doing a lot more, even if I'm not accomplishing my goal completely, than if I didn't have a goal at all. That's what works for me. Everybody's different. If that doesn't work for you, absolutely, you do you. I'm never trying to impose uh, what works for my brain, but if it does, if this appeals to you, if you want to join me on this 12-week adventure, please go to galarusauthor.com, and there's going to be Write Your Novel tab, and you're going to find the summer edition. I'm also going to do a deep dive class, which is an 8-week class where it's a lot more craft focused. So in each session, we're going to dive very, very deeply in different craft topics. So if you are on this, I want to know everything about craft. And I don't want to read a book about it. I want somebody who already read 100 books or 200 books. Just tell me the gist, and then we apply it to my story. That might be a good course for you. It's only 8 weeks, and it is in the evenings, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific in the evenings on Thursdays, but not every Thursday. Go on galarusauthor.com and see that. It's 10:31. I did my 30 minutes. Oh my God, I'm so proud of myself. It's so hard for me to keep everything tight, but I'm very good that I'm very happy that I did. Thank you for coming today. I hope you have a better idea of what you're going to do this summer. If you're watching this in a replay, please comment with what your main goal is, what your goal minimum is. If you have any aha moments for how you can plan this summer, this year, anything, I would appreciate it. Amy, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I'm also doing another live this week on Thursday. I'm going to talk with Romy Sommer. She's a South African author, and we're going to talk about K-dramas, and we're going to talk about how to use tropes and universal um, oh my God, now I'm forgetting what it's called, like things that everybody really likes. And T. Taylor's Butter concept and Jennifer Lynn's Barn writer's Eat concept, how to lean in things that people say are cringe and actually draw, get joy from that and make your stories better. And how K-dramas help us figure that out and are a very good example of that. Okay, I'm going to finish here. I will post all the links and all of this stuff in actually a written post after maybe today or tomorrow. But thank you, thank you, thank you. Have a great Memorial Day. Bye.